You asked, I'm answering. These are some of the most common questions we get asked about full-time family travel and traveling for extended adventures with your family. I am Jimmy from Families on the Horizon, and we've been traveling full-time now for over a year. I'm going to answer some of the common and not so common questions that I think you guys may find interesting. So how did we afford to fly business class with 2 kids? So this is in reference to our TikTok. If you want to have a look, go to the Moth Family on TikTok and have a look at that. This is in reference to a viral video that we created where we are all in business class, and that is my wife and my 2 children. And we fly business class maybe once, twice, maybe 3 times a year. So you're probably thinking, how have we gone about doing that? How are we able to do that as a family? Because if you were just to pay sticker price for business class flights, you would be spending a literal fortune. So the way we're able to do it is that we use frequent flyer points. And how do we acquire those frequent flyer points? Well, we do a thing called point hacking. You're probably thinking, what is point hacking? Well, essentially what point hacking is where you take advantage of introductory offers from credit cards. So a lot of credit card providers will do introductory offers generally using points. Let's say it's a ANZ business credit card here in Australia, or an ANZ card. They may have 100,000 Virgin frequent flyer points on offer to entice someone to sign up. Now, the reason they're able to do that is they're banking on people not paying off their credit cards. So they make so much money on the interest on their credit cards, they can dangle these carrots in front of people, knowing full well that only a few people are going to actually make money and take advantage on the offer. And you've got to proceed with caution, because if you don't do it properly, it can affect your credit score. But if you do it properly and if you do it cautiously, it doesn't affect your credit score. Another comment in the TikTok video was people going, oh, well, you have to spend $3,000 to make that and you're just getting into debt. Well, the secret is to spend money on stuff that you would have spent on anyway. Things like grocery bills, fuel bills, insurance, you can all pay that with a credit card. And it's pretty easy to get to $3,000 in 3 months if you're just putting your everyday expenses on it. And then the secret is to pay it off before 45 days. If you can pay it off before while the interest-free period on the card is there, then you'll pay no fees. So that's never really been an issue for us. And the positives of being able to travel business class and maybe lay down flat and have a rest after a big trip in Southeast Asia far outweighs whatever negligible costs of having that card actually is. So another question we've been asked is like, how do you avoid animal cruelty activities when in Southeast Asia? Example of riding elephants. And this is a fantastic question, and it's an ethical one that a lot of people struggle with when they go to Southeast Asia. You know, the rules of engagement when it comes to animals are a lot different in Southeast Asia than they are in, say, Australia. You know, there are places in Southeast Asia that have elephants in captivity chained up and are just there for rides. That exists. I think you'd be naive to think it doesn't. You know, that is just the way of the world. How do we get around the ethical issues of these animals that are in captivity versus the learning experiences that the boys can have by experiencing and touching and feeling these animals firsthand? Because I believe that is super important. You know, our boys know a lot about elephants because they've touched, feel, and been around them. How do you balance education and showing your kids a good worldview with the ethical concerns of a place that maybe has animals in captivity, elephants in captivity? Well, you just got to do your research. Now, obviously, no place is 100% ethical if they have animals in captivity. That is a fact. But there is places that treat these animals very good, because you got to remember, let's talk about these animal sanctuaries, for example. A lot of these elephants that are in captivity have been in captivity all their life, way before these sanctuaries existed. So a lot of these animals used to work in forests, pulling lumber and trees. Some just worked in circuses. Some worked as like elephant rides. A lot of these elephants can't be released into the wild because they've never experienced it in the life. They were born in captivity, and all they know is captivity. If they get released into the wild, they will die because they just don't know how to do that. And that is sad. But there's a lot of sanctuaries out there that are effectively retirement homes for elephants, where they basically just have free reign, but knowing full well that they can't live in the wild. So they have to feed them. They don't know how to fend for themselves in the wild. And you can't really train that. If you're a 50-year-old elephant, how do you get taught that after living in captivity for 50 years? So how do you find the ethical places versus the ones that are just doing this for profit? There's a lot of non-for-profits that list ethical treatment of animals. They list places that are aligned with them, how to have memberships with these organizations that do ethical treatment with animals. You also want to just read reviews and read what people say about how the animals are treated. That says a lot. If people on the ground are telling you what they think and feel about the experience, I would also look about what they're actually doing with the animals themselves. I agree that like any animals kept in captivity is cruel and unethical in a way, but is it more ethical to keep a elephant in effectively what's a retirement home because they don't know how to live in the wild, or to release it in the wild and die in nature because it has no idea how to live? The next question is, can you tell me what is the best camera equipment to buy, mate? I don't want to carry around a big camera with a massive lens, a $2,000 camera with a $1,000 lens, because it's bulky and unwieldy. I needed something that I was going to be able to take out and actually go and get footage with. So I was really, really conscious of how much I was carrying, because I know that if it's too hard to set up, I would never do it. So my camera stack looks like this. I have my phone. So I have a Samsung S22 Ultra, which has really good lenses and it has a zoom lens. I have an Insta360 X3, which is a 360 degree camera. And I pretty much carry that one around all the time, because the beauty about a 360 degree camera that films all the way around you is that you don't have to point at something to get the footage. Because sometimes the best things happen are just the expressions of the boys when they see something new. And then in editing, you can actually point it virtually in a direction to capture that. That camera is also waterproof as well, so it's great for water slides and taking down rivers and things like that. So that's our go-to camera. We also have a DJI Action 3, which is an action cam like a GoPro. And that is for more high intensity stuff. That's more for point of views. You don't need all three of those cameras. If I was going to recommend one camera for everyone, I would recommend an Insta360 X3. That is like the one camera I think everyone needs, because you can capture a lot of memories without having to point at stuff. So you can literally just be walking around and just holding the camera and it will get everything. And then after that, you can worry about what you're actually looking at. But the secret to filming and vlogging like we do is that, and just capturing memories in general, just keep it simple. Maybe stick to one camera and a phone. You can do most of it with that. And then you're home and hosed. So the next question is, how would you handle it if your kids said they wanted to go home? That's a pretty easy question to answer. If the kids really wanted to go home, we would go home. I'm not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this as a family. So, I want to make sure that the kids are having as good a time as we are. And we ask them all the time. We probably ask them once a week, maybe once every couple of weeks. Are you guys still happy to be traveling, and do you guys want to go home? And they've never actually said that they did. Now, is that because they're doing homeschooling and they're enjoying that and they don't want to have to go back to traditional school? Maybe, I don't know. But I think if the kids turned around and said they wanted to go home, I would sit there and I would really dig deep into why that is. Like, I would really go sit down and go, okay, so what are you feeling? Why do you feel like you don't want to do this anymore? And if the answer was sincere and genuine and they were just like, I just want to go home, I miss my friends, I don't want to do this anymore, then we'll go home. The thing with traveling is we can always travel in the future. And I think it is kind of selfish for parents to drag their kids around the countryside if they don't want to do it. You want them to grow up and have memories that will last them a lifetime of an experience that they had. And sometimes it doesn't work like that. So if your kids don't enjoy traveling, don't drag them across the countryside. Be honest and transparent about that and go, okay, what's more important? My kids' mental well-being and happiness, or my drive to want to travel as a family and do this as a family? Talk and communicate. Remember that the reason you're doing this is to reconnect as a family. But the next question we have here is, was it hard to let go of all your material possessions and for the kids as well? That's a great question. No, actually, surprisingly not. Once we got into the swing of selling our stuff, it was actually quite liberating. It was actually one of the best things we've done, is just getting rid of all the crap that we accumulated over the last 20 years. At the start, when we had our first garage sales, I was trying to hold on to things. By the fourth garage sale, I was like, just take it for whatever you'll give me. And then I realized that actually we're going to make a whole bunch of new scented memories. And why do I need to hold on to a sentimental item that was from my past, before we had kids? It's time to make some new areas of sentiment with the family. So thank you so much for the questions. I'm thinking I might do another one of these because it was so much fun and I really enjoy answering the questions, and we do have a lot of experience traveling. But if you're thinking of packing it all up and seeing the world like we have, or you just want to follow along on our adventures, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.